Yeah, that sound you just heard was part soda can opening up and part really frustrated sigh. This isn't a video about me working on a coin or planning or drawing or design. This is me locking the door to my shop and cleaning it for the first time in a week. So the context for this, as you might be able to gather a little bit from the image here, is that the shop's a bit of a wreck. And the reason it's a wreck is this last week, it's been a long week for me. It's been a long 10 days. I and my wife, we just got finished tiling our bedroom, which meant I spent 6 days, sleeping in a recliner. Which is not terribly comfortable for me and did not give me a lot of restful sleep. And God, if it was up to me when I finally got out here tonight, I would have just thrown everything in a box and said I'll get back to it next year. I was so tired. Not so much physically tired. The bed had been set back up again by at least 2 days by this point. But emotionally and mentally, I was just so done with all of this. And I said to myself, I've got to clean the shop. I have got to get this place put together so that I can get back to work. I've got schedules I've got to meet. I have 3 or 4 medallions I need to make. I have, not the least of which is the one we're chronicling here. And the shop was a disaster. We had tiling stuff, mastic, buckets of unused material. I had tools. I had several tools I just threw out. They served their purpose and I was done with them. And I'm doing exactly what I'm doing right here. I am picking up trash and finding a place for it. Some of it actually goes in the trash, some of it are tools that have to be put away. And why am I doing all this? Why are you sitting here watching me clean my shop where I'm actually out of the camera frame for, half or a third of all of this? And there's 2 reasons. One is because this is part of art. None of us, or at least very, very few of us, have enough time for a dedicated studio, have the resources rather for a dedicated studio, which is completely and totally removed from the impact of the world around it. When we did the tile work, the tools to mix the mastic, the tools to work on the room, to get the carpet up, to get the molding off the floor, to scrape the glue off of the cement floor, all that came out of my shop. And the place was a disaster. It was just a mess. So I wanted to take a minute and just talk about how this is part of the reality for artisans. And I didn't want to give it lip service. I didn't want to say, oh yeah, I have to clean up. I wanted you to just sit down with me for a minute and watch as I just kind of wander around and reassemble my shop and get my kit put back together and get all the trash out of the way. And there's a whole host of power tools and trowels and levels and all of that are out of this frame that I've been stacking up and putting away. And when I started this process, I was utterly and completely burned out. I was in a foul mood. I really was. I behind me, behind this shot is the door to the house. I closed it and I told my wife, do not come out. I need some time to myself. And what I did was I came out here with my can of ginger ale and I said, okay, I'm going to clean, and while I'm going to clean, I'm going to not force myself, but I'm going to get past this frustration and funk that is that is weighing me down, that is keeping me from getting back to this. And it wasn't that I had a copious amount of time before this. It was just that I knew that I was not in the mood to work on this tonight. And I knew I didn't have spare time. I didn't have extra days. So I popped my knuckles and I grabbed a can of ginger ale and I came out and I said, I am going to set out to make this a cathartic event where I can use the act of cleaning, of sorting, of organizing, of straightening things out to make my mind more conducive to work. And it worked. By the time I was done, keep in mind, this is out in my shop. This is, it's a 2-car garage that has never seen a car since we've lived here. It's entirely, on one side it's entirely stored, the other side is my shop. It's not air conditioned. On this particular night, I had the garage door open and a fan going, so I had some air movement. It is probably about 89, 90 degrees in there. It's muggy right now. And it was an environment you had to want to be in. And I had to make myself want to be in it. And why am I telling you all this? This is not about sympathy or woe is me or look how tough. No, that's not why I'm doing this. There are times where you're going to need to force yourself to stop and engage the world around you and put yourself in a frame of mind to make art. Now, whether you do that through cleaning up shop, or whether you do that for going out for a walk or a run or lifting weights, or whether you do that by reading a book beforehand or watching a certain video, understand that for many of us, there's no universals here, it's not all, but for many of us, art is a process, and part of that process is getting in the frame of mind to do the art. I'm not going to do anyone any good if I sit down and my head is not in the right place to concentrate on the next steps in this process. So I have to work to put myself in that frame of mind, and that is exactly what I'm doing here. And that process is important. I didn't want to just talk about it. I didn't want to sit here and show you a blank screen and say, yes, these are the things that we can or should do. I wanted to show you me, or some part of me, actually doing this. Because that's part of the process. This is every bit as much part of this as everything else I'm doing. And the other thing I want you to take away from it is, when it was all said and done, in my case, in this example, cleaning up the shop took just over 8 minutes. Not a lot of time when you think about it. Now, at the time, it felt like forever. I was traipsing around that garage for a hot minute, cleaning stuff up, and it felt like 20 minutes. But it really was only 8. And that's what it took for me to go and do the next step in this medallion. Thank you very much for joining me.